Good morning everyone and welcome to our first workshop for Make, Do, Amend. It's very exciting and our first workshop is on, oh god, I'm really stuttering now, Creative Vision Board. So we're going to have a quick recap of what we've been through this week so far and get to a place where we can start putting it together. It's very exciting. Okay, so way back on Monday, if you remember, we gathered all of our, no, we didn't gather anything. We got our background ready. So we thought about what we were going to put our vision board on and where we would put it in our home. So I gave some examples of using a pin board or the back of a Weetabix box, any bit of card, or failing that, just putting it directly onto the wall if you've got some space, or inside the door of your wardrobe maybe. So that was day one. Tuesday was more of a task, a pen and paper task, a bit of a thinking task, and we took some time to think about historic creative influences that we had. So maybe from childhood, the creative tasks and projects that we enjoyed doing, but also things that maybe didn't go so well for us in the past with regards to creative tasks, and what we'd like to do differently to try and help steer our vision for the future. So day 3, Wednesday, which is odd because it's Thursday today and this is going to be going live on Saturday, but yesterday we very much put some detail about those future projects that we wanted to do. So I asked you again to pen and paper, make some notes on your thoughts about what you wanted to do for the future and do a little bit of research to get a few ideas together. And if you were struggling with that for any reason, then I suggested using your subheadings to help you think about creative projects that you might like to do for gifts for people, or creative projects that you'd like to do for things in your home. And I gave the example of the dishcloth that my sister made out of the crochet, which is brilliant. So day 4 was then the fun task of collecting, saving, printing, cutting up magazines and looking through Pinterest and other resources to get images of the things you wanted to make, so that you're ready to then stick them all down and get them ready to put onto your board. Day 5 was an opportunity, am I talking really quickly probably? Day 5 was our additional resources opportunities, so going through all your stash of paper, seeing if you had any nice wrapping paper or any glitzy tissue paper that really appealed to you, things that you could use as backgrounds to mount your pictures on and images on, that worked cohesively with your colour scheme that you wanted to work with. Also getting things ready like embellishments, anything that you wanted to put on, maybe stickers or I don't know, can't think of any of the words, beads, glitter, anything like that that really appeals to you that you wanted to use to embellish your board, and also things like scissors, glue, tape, those sorts of things, making sure you had those ready as well. So hopefully we've all done our background work. I've also been doing it, so I've been doing it all this week to show you and working along with you because I'm really excited about this particular workshop. And now I'm ready. Day 6, here we are, ready to bring it all together. So we're going to do, we're going to swap to another filming session so you can actually see my hands and the bits that I've got out in front of me, which will give you a little bit more idea about how we're going to put it together. So guys, if you hear any funny noises as well, we've got some building work going on over there, and also I've got lots of lights on me here and they keep overheating, so they make a funny buzzy noise, so try and block that out. Anyway, so now we're going to move on and actually start putting our creative vision board together. It's the exciting bit, so we are going to cut to a close-up so you can see a little bit more in detail. Hi everyone! Okay, so on my table here I've got all my resources that I've been collecting, like you guys have. So I'm just going to show you some examples. So I've cut a few things out of magazines. I like the word escape and I like this image. I've also got some more magazines here if I need any more words at all. I printed out using my printer at home my subheading words. So I've got just for fun, I used a funky font to do that in red. House and useful, gifts and business ideas, all areas where I want my creativity to sit. So these are I'm going to cut these out and mount them. What other sorts of things have I got that might be interesting? Okay, so when I was thinking about my particular board, my colour theme was very much green. Green is my favourite colour. And I found when I was just in Hobbycraft, and I found this this pack of coloured paper, and it's got all different sorts of greens and textures. So I've got some shiny ones, some glittery ones, more blues and greens, and I just thought they'd be really nice for highlighting some of the images that I've got. I also found in my stocks, my crafting stocks, that if you're a crafter like me, you probably have loads of stuff hidden away that you're trying to make sure your husband doesn't find. But I found things like, I've got these lovely Japanese papers, and Japan is a very strong theme on my images, so I thought they may come in handy. They're just origami papers. I found this transfer foil. I've never used it before, but it says it's a plastic-like film version of gold leaf or Dutch metal, and I've got it in copper, which just goes absolutely gorgeous with the green. And I also found this, which is just some interesting different patterned paper, which might be quite nice, a bit shimmery one there. And so yeah, I think that's most of my additional pieces I found in the cupboard. What I also decided to do is to give it some colour. I found some decoupage papers that I had, which are like thin tissue paper. In fact, you can use tissue paper for this, or things like serviettes. And all I've done is I've glued it onto a piece of card to use as a background, so I can mount. So this word escape, for example, I can mount and just cut out a square of this to go onto the board. So that's the plan with that. What else have we got? So I was going to show you some of the images I found. So when I was doing my day 4 task on Thursday, I spent a long time on Pinterest looking at the boards I had. And it turns out a lot of it was actually quite blue, not quite green, as I thought my my colour board was, my creative vision board was going to be. But I found lots of images that really spoke to me, that I've obviously collected over time about the things that I want to do. It will probably be quite hard for you to see this, but just to give you a bit of an example, I've got on here some coloured terracotta pots for the garden, something I'd really like to do. I've got, what have I got over here? So I've got an Acer here, which is my favourite sort of tree. Again, a bit of a Japanese theme coming in there. And I've got lots of colour boards, which are like little colour palettes, which you can find on Pinterest. And they're really good if you are ever unsure about what colours will match together or go together. So I've got lots of blues and coppers and more blue up here. And these images are really things that spoke to me. Another favourite of mine, and definitely something I want to work on in terms of a creative project, is something to do with jellyfish. I don't know why, I watched a David Attenborough programme once and I just thought, well, they're just beautiful, the way they move through the water, the sort of iridescence and transparent sort of quality of all their tentacles, and I love their shapes and I love these sketches of them. I don't know quite what I'm going to do in terms of a project, whether I'll paint or do some kind of maybe alcoholic ink work with those, but I'd really like to give that a go. And again, down here, a bit more of a Japanese influence with the koi carp. I've always wanted to do a koi carp painting similar to this to go into our downstairs bathroom, so that's going under house for me. Yeah. So I've been busy obviously printing lots of my resources off. Most of this is just printed on normal printer paper, which means it's a little bit, the quality is not amazing, but I can still see the image. I had 2 sheets left of photo paper, which obviously gives a lot better print and a lot better colour. So you know, got a bit of a mixture going on of brighter and the sort of duller paper as well, but I think that's okay. I printed them out to get the maximum I could, as in as many images on one sheet. As you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 images on one bit of paper. Now my board is reasonably small, so it's this sort of size, so it's okay for those images to be quite small, and it's okay to have some blank space on here as well, because the great thing about vision boards is you can add to them over time. So if you do find yourself changing your mind or wanting to add something additional on that you've just discovered or just found, then you can still do that. Now, just a few tips about cutting everything up. I'm sure all of you are very well aware of how to cut things safely, but just to remind you, if you're going to use like a blade, like a knife of any sort, then make sure you have a cutting mat down so that you don't damage your table or your surface, and always have a good size ruler to get the most out of your cuts, to do as long as possible. So for example, I would cut somewhere down here like this, holding onto the ruler, pushing the knife out. Don't actually need to apply much pressure if you've got a good blade, and that just comes straight off. Make sure you close your knife up, and then you can start working your way through. This is probably the time consuming bit. As you can see, I've got hundreds of images, so I'm going to quickly whiz through, cut all of these out, and then come back and show you how I'm going to mount them all. Okay, so now we've got a few of these cut out, we're going to mount them. So we've got lots of different ways of doing this. I've got some double-sided sticky tape, which is great because it doesn't take any time to dry. I've got some standard PVA glue, which is also a good alternative. But I think for this, I'm just going to use trusty old Pritt Stick, to be honest. It's quick, it doesn't go everywhere, it dries reasonably quickly, and I'm going to get the effect that I want. So the first thing I'm going to mount is my little colourful head here, which is, I'm using this to represent me right in the middle of my board. So I just need an interesting colour to mount it on. And I think I'm going to go for the greeny blue. Just to make sure, it's quite handy really, these bits of paper are all quite small already, so I'm just going to mount it on there. So this is a real kid-friendly task, so if you've got any children around, and get them to help you with the sticking and cutting. As you can see, this image just came out of a magazine. Actually, by the looks of it, came out of an MS magazine as well, which I have got MS and have lots of magazines from them, and they sometimes come up with some really pretty imagery to support their articles. So there we go on there. Quite happy with that, and then that can be just ready to be pinned onto the board. I might draw around it or write some notes and some words that are personal to me as well to embellish it a bit more. Okay, so let's do some of these beautiful jellyfish. Again, not sure if we should put them on paper. We can mount them on, I've got some of this thicker card so that we have some different sizes and different textures on the board. So I might do a little jellyfish. We've got another little one that can fit in there. Yeah. So let's just cut these out again. Again, being very careful with our knife. Wiggle your fingers back. Okay, which one to use now? Could either put that one on and put that one in the middle. Yeah, quite like that. Yes. Just go and whack some more glue on. I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs with this gluing stuff. Just do whatever's most comfortable for you, and use the things that you have available to you at home. So you may find, like me, that one image isn't enough. So as you can see, I've picked out several. It's really simply because I couldn't choose which one I preferred. I really like the tentacles on this one and the colour that we've got in the top. I love the fact that this is a sketch and it's very symmetrical. So this isn't obviously a photo of a real life jellyfish, this is a drawing. And this one, yeah, again, just slightly different colour and the angle of the head part here, which is why I've chosen 3. It wasn't because I was being completely indecisive. But there you go. So there are my little jellyfish mounted, and again something else ready to go onto my board. I quite like doodling, so it may be that I end up writing in lots of these empty spaces. It depends how it looks when I hold it up to the board. You'll find that probably mine's quite busy because I've got lots of images to put on and I like lots of colour and lots of pattern and design. But other people, you may find yourself that actually you like things really minimalistic and simple, leaving yourself lots of space in between things, maybe just using words and just a few colours that really appeal to you. And that's okay as well. Obviously we're all really personal, so it's up to you how you choose to go forward with that. Okay, so you might have seen earlier I showed you this funky bit of paper that I've stuck onto this board. So I was just going to show you how I did that and the different effects that you can get from using like decoupage paper or tissue paper. So yeah, let's have a little look. So in here I've got another one which I might use on the board because I love these hearts, and I've had this in my craft stash for rather a long time and not used it, so it's nice to actually finally be able to use some of these things that I've been collecting. So it comes in, like, I think they're a couple of £1 for a pack in Hobbycraft. You'll probably be able to get them cheaper online somewhere on Amazon. And yeah, obviously it's got creases where it's folded. I quite like the creases, and that's what I'm going to show you a bit about when we glue this down. So I've just got quite a thick bit of cards. This is actually mount board. It's just an offcut that I had from a mount that I've made for a customer. But for this, I'm actually going to use some PVA glue. It needs something a bit heftier than you know, your standard Pritt stick, and I'm putting quite a lot on as well, as you can see. Just covering the whole bit of card in it. Now, I happen to have one of these spongy, swipey things. I've got a couple of different sizes. They're really handy for all sorts of things. But failing that, you can just use another bit of card and just use it to swipe all the way down. That's quite a good tip to use as well. Or just your normal glue spreader. It's quite good. I like these sponges because it actually sort of soaks a bit up, so it takes some of the excess off. It's quite a warm day today, so I'm having to work a little bit quickly because this glue's already going a bit thick. And take it right to the edge. So we can always cut this up again once we've stuck our decorative paper on. Okay, so that's completely covered in glue now, if you can see that. Probably not, because it's white on white. And then I'm going to take the sheet and I think I might just lay it on. And then if you want to smooth it out, you can, but I actually want to kind of scrunch it. So I like the wrinkles and putting some texture on it. So I'm just going to scrunch it up a bit to distort some of those hearts and just give it a bit more of an interesting look. And then push them down so you get loads of like little wrinkles. could use like a little roller if you have one, or a rolling pin to flatten them. I don't think very. This is a funny thing to say, given that I'm a picture framer, but I don't tend to think very much in straight lines when it comes to creativity, and I quite like it all being textured. So, and you can always take a wax crayon and run over these, and you get some nice colourings over the top of it. So you can see it's got a bit of a wrinkly finish, which I really like. So we're just going to leave that to dry, and then we'll be able to chop it up and either use it to mount some of our pictures. For example, my household and useful, I might be able to cut out like that and actually mount onto this, and it might look quite nice. But just an interesting way to give some of your pictures or text a bit more. So after we've sort of gathered all of our images and mounted them and got them ready for our board, I thought I'd give you a few ideas about embellishments, only if you want to, that you can put on to just give your board some texture and some life. So I was just going to run through a few options here right now for you to have a look at. So one idea I had one of my words, escape, that I wanted to put onto my board, and you'll see in a little while everything on my board is very, very square, very linear, and I thought it was looking a little bit dull as a result. So I found in my cupboard some pinking shears, I think that's what they're called, and they've got these sort of blades on them that give a nice effect. So I thought I would try that on here to see if it looks any good. We'll give it a go. Oh, and it does. It looks quite nice. So that's one idea, just to break up the sort of straight lines that you might find you have on your images. It's quite a nice little scalloped edge. I didn't realise it was a scalloped one. I thought it was going to be spiky, but that still looks quite nice. I don't know if you can see that there. Some other things that I found in my stocks is ribbon, lots of ribbon. So we can have a look through. I don't know if any of you guys are like me and just keep stocks of things, but some of my images that I've put on for my house are quite sort of antique, and I've got some nice ribbons here that you could use. I don't know if you can see that there. We put that a bit lower. Just got lots of different pretty ribbons. You still with me, guys? And so could cut some bits, tie some bows, and embellish with ribbon. Another one that I found was I think I showed you earlier, I've got these nice Japanese origami papers, and I found a couple of YouTube videos as to how to do origami. Turns out this was supposed to turn into an orchid. That didn't work. I need to revisit that. But I did make this pretty little flower shape that you can then fold up and stick onto your board. I thought the paper was quite nice. Another option is beads and sequins. So I've got some funky little heart-shaped beads that you could stick onto your board. Other things like buttons. I don't know if other people keep a collection of buttons, but I do. I have lots of different button collections. Again, nice for embellishing. And I also found that at some point I'd made a whole load of pom-poms. So they may get hung on the side as well, just to brighten up and make it a little bit more interesting to look at. There are lots of other options, and if you are more material or fabric based, then these sorts of things like trim, basically, that you can use on different things that you make, but also, let me see what I've got here. Velvets, also quite nice, make a good backdrop, but you could also just drape them down the side to give an indicator maybe of a colour that you're wanting to use for something you make. And again, pattern is really important to think about when you're being creative. So I've got lots of different batik fabrics here that I used for a quilt I made, and some of these patterns are just lush. I love this zigzag one here with all the colour on it, and I may well put that on my board. So here we are, guys. I thought I would give you a bit of a summary of the board that I've been putting together over this week on the build up to this workshop, to give you basically some ideas and some guidelines. I've learned a lot through doing this process, so thank you very much to everyone in this group, because it's been my accountability to actually get on and do something that I've wanted to do for ages. So, and I'm actually quite pleased. So I'm going to have a little talk through of some of the things that I've learnt through doing this, and also hopefully give you a few ideas maybe of things that you'd that might help you. So first off, this board is massive. I started off, I do have it here. I started off with this pinboard, and there is no way that all the images that I had found were going to fit on this board. So that was my first thing. So my first piece of advice to you is think very carefully when you're printing out the sizes of things and where you want it to go. So I'm, fortunate. I'm a picture frame. I have lots of supplies in here in the studio, and I happen to have a piece of foam board, which is basically like two sheets of thin card with foam in between, which is really lightweight, but it's a flat smooth surface and I can move it around easily, and I'm actually going to be able to put this up in my bedroom on my wall next to where I do my makeup, and it will be something that I can look at for a bit there, and then if I want to move it down into here and have it in the studio, I can do. So that's the first thing, think about your sizing. So I'm just going to talk you through some other things that I noticed on this little journey. I think I even mentioned earlier in this film, when we were filming the bit about mounting some of your images, I said something like, I like wiggly lines and curves and stuff, and it turns out I don't. I like everything really neatly mounted with right angles, and they're all square, so that's obviously the picture framer in me coming out. And also how much colour there was. So I used these greens that I had for the background, but actually I love all colours. I really do like things bright and colourful, and I think you can probably tell that from here. So let's just talk about this in the middle first. I know you saw this earlier on in the video. Now this is what I chose as a representation for me. You may choose to do something, you could put a photo of yourself, or you might want to put the year that you're looking at having, maybe the next 6 months, or 2020 or 2021, but just to give it some kind of centre. And really this is very personal for me, so for me this is the centre, and this is me. I just love the shape of the head, and I love the magazine that it came from as well. So I'm just going to quickly show you a couple of the things I decided to do. I broke up my board into sections. I'm just going to move this over here so that hopefully you can see a little bit more detail in this section here. And this was very much my green section, my outdoors, my freedom section. I've got photos of some lovely trees and leaves, and this is go outside, go outside, go outside, basically telling me to get back to the things that make me feel most creative and most calm, and that is being outdoors and in the garden, and in woodland and ferns. So I've put some pictures there and some nice little things to read that just make me feel good and keeping on the right path. And this kind of led into my house section, so useful and home. And I've got my vegetable patch and my garden, and some nice outside seating area that I've been thinking about doing. And again, another project that I want to be working on this year is this lovely reel. A friend of mine gave me a lovely, one of those lovely old wooden reels. Norma, that's you, by the way. So I've got a couple of different images. I've got another one down here of reels to give me some inspiration as to what to do with that. What else have we got? So I think I spoke earlier also about gifting, and for me gifting craft is really important, so I put this little giving gifts up here, and alongside it I've got my vegetable fabric dyeing that I really want to do. And I also love batik, I love patchwork, and I love shibori, and all things sort of Japanese fabric related, so that's on here too. you can see the wonderful jellyfish that I've spoken about earlier, and also this is my painting section. So just a few ideas of the things that I'd like to do. So this is my board. Now everybody's board is going to be very different, and I do appreciate and understand that, and it does take a lot. It's quite a draining experience. So not draining, that makes it sound negative, but you put a lot into it, you put a lot of yourself into it. So take your time with it, don't rush it. Take the things that speak to you the most. If that's simple and stylish yet minimalist, go with that. You have to go with what feels best for you, and I suppose this is just me on a board. Thank you guys for having a look at it, and I hope you've enjoyed this workshop. So me and my dad were just having a bit of a laugh really, because this is the first time I've ever recorded a workshop or talked to somebody through how to do something. This is actually quite straightforward, but it's also the first time that he's done any filming work, and it's just been crazy. We've got sound from the light, so there's buzzing noise. We've got children running in every 5 seconds with loads of questions. I wasn't prepared enough, so I didn't have my storyboard, and my poor dad's got to string this all together somehow with all of my ideas somehow translated into video. Anyway, so we just really wanted to say thank you for bearing with us. This is our first time doing this. We're having lots of fun doing it, and I think each month that we do a workshop and we do a little bit of the filming, we'll get a little bit better at it, and it'll be a bit more slick. So just, yeah, hang in there with us, but thank you.